it is Martin Lewis Day, or at least partly Martin Lewis Day, because maybe there's more to it than that. And I don't know, like, like, are you a big Martin Lewis fan, Aaron?
Oh my goodness, yes. In fact, Martin Lewis is a great example, you know, because his father was Eric Lewis, who was a famous magician for many years. And when I first stumbled into Martin Lewis's book, Martin's Miracles, you know, I read it and I felt like I was reading a book from the old timers, you know what I mean? And then when I found out Martin Lewis was working at the Magic Castle all the time, like he was alive and well and a pretty young guy, you know what I mean? But and so he's really just one of the smartest magicians of the century. Wouldn't you say, Alex?
Yeah, and there's no like limits in any direction. Like the guy is an expert coin magician, expert card magician, and he's like a creative genius. Like he creates props and gaffs that, like, when you look at them, they look like they're, you know, a NASA contraption, but then you figure out what they do as an effect and you go, oh my God, you just are a genius, Martin. And there's a lot of those in his repertoire. It's really impressive. And he's a wonderful man to top it all off. He's just a really great hang, and he's really kind to young magicians. And he was really kind to me when I was a young man. So yeah, I love Martin Lewis. I think he's one of the great magicians.
One of the things that makes that you should look for that really tends to point to a guy like Martin Lewis is this happens when you have a legacy. So when we think about Fu Manchu, David Bamberg, you know, he grew up in Okito's house. He used to, his dad, Okito, wouldn't teach him any magic, so he used to bum around Uncle Harry Houdini's house. He got in trouble, actually, for doing the needle swallowing at school that he lifted out of Houdini's desk drawer when he was a kid. So when you have these legacies it's just going into your dad's business, you know, and you start thinking in magic by the time you're 10 years old. And so whatever your aptitudes are, they have their fullest opportunity to come out. And we can't think of anything better than, in fact, rather than even tell you about the tricks, because there's so many great tricks, I bet Alex picked a few of them for us to watch.
I picked a couple of really great ones that really turned me on, that I love. And, you know, there's a lot to pick from with Martin, but I think these are the best of the best.
You guys want to watch one?
Yeah,
I think we should. We should.
So hard.
I was just going to ask Aaron a question. What would happen if your father left you a pizza restaurant?
Whoa.
If my dad had left me a pizza restaurant?
Yeah.
I know that I wanted to be like in my dad's business when I was growing up, and I assumed that I would have wanted to no matter what that business was. What about you?
You're a magician, though, is what I'm saying. But go ahead, let's watch.
Yeah, but I stopped wanting to do what my dad did. I mean, but he was an attorney, so I was like, what am I going to do?
Yeah, really.
I don't want to be like a liar. I'll do magic.
You know, he understates it. He says attorney, but he was the attorney for the Gambino crime family.
Was he really?
That's not me. That's a different member. Do not say his name.
Okay.
You're not supposed to speak his name out loud.
Oh.
Lad, I have had this uncanny ability to be able to look at people and know what color they would choose if I were to ask them to choose a color. Now that doesn't sound like it would be anything anybody could do, but it is. I'll give you an example. I have some envelopes here in different colors. There's a yellow, red, blue, and I'll ask the lady and the gentleman to help me out by choosing colors. And I think we should have ladies first. Would you mind? Now, which color would you like? The red, yellow, or the blue?
Oh, the yellow.
The yellow. I knew you was going to say that. I just threw that one on the floor. You go ahead and take the yellow paper and look inside the envelope. There's nothing else in there, right? Don't open the paper for a moment, just hold on to it. Now let me go over here. So would you mind? You have a choice between the blue or the red. I'll go with it. The blue? I knew you was going to say that. Inside there's a piece of paper. Go ahead and take that. And take a look inside the envelope, nothing else, right? Don't open it for just a second, just hold on to it. And I do ask you to remember that the lady chose the yellow, the gentleman chose the blue, I'm left with the red, and there's a slip in there which I would ask if you wouldn't mind holding. Would you be kind enough, first of all, to open your slip and read in a big loud voice for everyone to hear what my prediction says?
You will choose yellow.
You will choose yellow?
Real mind reading.
It's awesome.
Real mind reading, right?
Yeah.
It's such a great moment.
Huh?
It's such a great moment.
Yeah.
It's a gift. I sometimes get this one wrong. I don't know why. But open that in a big loud voice, read what it says on the paper.
You'll choose blue.
2 in a row. Don't be alarmed. I only use my powers for good. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I ask you to remember that the lady chose yellow, the gentleman chose blue, I'm left with red, and you have that one.
Yeah.
In a big loud voice, open it up and read what it says on the paper.
The man will choose blue, the woman will choose yellow, and I will be left with red.
Right?
Great.
Yeah.
I love it.
Love that ending.
But I'm not laughing now.
Is there more, Alex?
That's
No,
the whole trick, right?
That's the trick.
Technicolor Prediction. It's called Technicolor Prediction. And, I don't know how many of you watching this, a lot of people do close-up. But when you start, as my old friend John Stetsky used to say, when you start doing stand-up magic, you have 2 new obsessions, right? One is luggage. The other is practical stand-up material. And the Technicolor Prediction has always just been one of the most compact, beautiful, simple, clear, and easy to entertain with mentalism effects you'll ever find. Do you ever use it, Steve?
No, but it looks like all that. It packs small, allows for a lot of interaction, and it's got like that sucker finish to it, which is always good. So
And the effect is strong when it's over, right?
Yeah. What I like about that particular effect too is that with mentalism, it's really hard for it to be funny,
Mm-hmm.
and this has the built-in, stuff to it.
Yeah, you get a few built-in laughs there. It's
You get
really
a couple
good.
of built-in laughs, get people loosened up.
And he improved this thing, right? This thing used to be like he had a device that helped make all that
Yeah.
stuff happen, but now just envelopes. It's as clean and as simple as it's ever been. I think this is just a stand-up, beautiful piece of magic. It's like bulletproof, man. Like
It's a new method.
days.
Has
Yeah,
he released this new method, or is he
Yeah.
just doing it himself?
he released it. It's out.
The book Martin's Miracles, was that written by him or Eric?
It was written, I think, by Eric.
I think it's written by Eric, yeah, because it's all illustrated by Eric too, so it looks like those old school '70s magic books.
Right, yeah, that's right. And
Say his
Sidewalk
name,
Shuffle,
Eric who?
Eric Lewis, his dad.
yeah.
Oh.
And then he's got Sidewalk Shuffle, right? That was another famous
Totally
trick.
Didn't Harry Anderson?
international famous.
No.
No, Harry Anderson did something different on TV.
Did something different.
Copperfield used a couple of his things.
And
He did one of
Sidewalk,
his big flagship tricks. Totally, yeah. We'll
I
get
would
into that
say
at some
that the
point.
Sidewalk Shuffle is probably stronger. I mean, look, the thing about Harry's is the size,
Mm-hmm.
right? Than the Monarch Monty, but really pound for pound, if you just take both of those tricks with baby jumbos, I would say Sidewalk Shuffle is one of the best.
It's got a lot of killer moments in it. It's not just relegated to being like a Monty routine, because you get those weird endings with those blank cards and things transposing, and there's a lot of effects in that routine. It's really good.
Mm-hmm. I would
It's
say
smart.
it's even better than Tante.
Oh, way better than Tante. Yeah. I agree.
Something you said at the very beginning, you said, Martin's got his real grasp of not just great inventions, close-up magic stuff, but he does the classics as well.
Yeah.
And, I always, when I think of the Lincoln Rings, there's always, there's 5 to 10 people that you think about that have done it really well and do it really well. And
I gotta tell you, Adam, today,
yeah.
Adam, you might add this one to your list, Adam. This is really a wonderful routine. I'm starting to think it's like up there in like the top 10 at least. It's just
funny,
classic,
right?
Beautiful. And
He
he's got a
always
couple
has a
of
twist.
really great touches on this thing. Yeah, there are comedy. He's a comedian, right? He's got good comedy moments in there, but there's just some real beautiful magic moments in there that, just he knows how to get that moment and milk every drop out of it. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah. No, Tovar, you're exactly right. Tovar does. I've got, there's a love-hate relationship with the Lincoln Rings, and it goes back to like your childhood, because it's one of the very first tricks you get into. And if you don't, like when you're a kid and you're doing linking rings, if you don't know how to handle the rings, your audience is going to bust you, right? You have to be able to handle the rings properly. So it's one of those tricks like you can lose enthusiasm for really quick as a child. But when you watch somebody do it that really does it well, it just defies all reality. So I'm ready to watch it. Let's check it out.
Talking about the rings?
Yes, linking rings.
One time at a big magic convention, Teller came forth and passed out a piece of paper, and they asked 2,000 people to sign a petition that the linking rings should be retired from Magic entirely until everybody who is currently live has been allowed to, quote, either lapse into dotage or die. I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying that's what one magician felt about it. You know, I tend to agree with you guys that you can make people really happy with that trick.
Hey, when it's good, right?
That's right.
Magic comes from all different parts of the world, and this next mystery hails from ancient China. It's over 2,000 years old, and it uses a number of steel rings. Now, magic, just like music or literature or dance, has its classics, and this is one of those. It's an effect called the Chinese linking rings, and it uses a number of steel rings. Now, I'm sure that almost everybody in this room has at one time or another seen or witnessed a performance of this. As I say, it's a classic. But I think you'll find this is a rather unique version, because during the course of it, I'll pass the rings that I use out for your examination. And I shall do that to prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that these rings are what I claim them to be, rings manufactured from solid steel. And yet they can, at my will, become as impalpable as air, allowing one to pass inside of the other as easily as they may pass through the empty space. Now please observe that I make no fast or suspicious movements. The speed of the hand is not used to deceive the eye, and yet the rings do indeed become entwined one within the other. Now if they link together, they must come apart. You don't have to pull them or tug them, a gentle shake. They come apart as easily as rings of smoke. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourselves, good Lord, what a clever fellow. I think I'll burst into thunderous applause, please. Try and control yourselves. You've done an admirable job of it so far. Now, two rings have been linked together. This, number one. This, if you'll excuse the expression, number two. And now watch as three rings link into a chain in the air. Like this. Wow. I can't really stop. Would you like to take a look? Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, you're just going to leave me standing here looking like an idiot. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Go ahead, take a hold of those and then take a look at them. You may feel free to take them apart.
Well, I just have to say, geez, give the guy a break. We had no idea he had to, like, you know. Okay, anyway.
You know, sometimes when you're up there, you're working, you're a little stressed. You know, sometimes you're not as gentle as you wish, you know, as you want to be. Remember, everybody.
He was cooking.
Take it easy with the people. Be gentle.
As the man comes from the audience, you realized you should not have hurried him so fast.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
then he grabs the middle ring on top of it all.
No.
I'll put these together. It's a case of finding the soft spot. It should be about here. And would you like me to show you how you do it? Hello, would you like me to show you how to do it? Hold the rings like this. Now take the middle one and bring it up to the top. Good. Take the bottom one, bring it to the middle. Let the two outside ones swing out from the left ring. Give it a half turn. It'll come right up. So would you like to take a look? Yeah, would you? Sure, it would have been easier if people were down closer, but that's okay. I don't mind making you walk. Okay, now feel free to examine those. Don't go away. Oh, you got them back together. Brilliant. Thank you. You may like to watch as this ring goes from the top to the middle and to the bottom. But once again, from the top to the middle, to the bottom and off. I'll put that back on for you the hard way. like this. At the moment, they're linked in 3 places. Now they're linked in 16.
That's a pretty powerful moment there. It was linked in 3 places. Now it's linked in 16. Think about that, right?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Very
That's
classic.
brilliant. It's a brilliant routine so far, Martin Lewis.
He was having,
Sorry, go ahead.
your problem you were having before is, Martin works the parlor a lot. He's worked all kinds of places, clearly.
Oh, yeah.
But he was having a little bit of a room. He was having a spatial issue with working in that big old room and not having everything timed out for it. Everyone's traveling a further way. He's moving a further way. In the parlor, you just turn left, turn to right. He's hiking.
Yeah. That's a big stage. That's a big stage. Ooh. All right, let's keep going.
It would take an Nazi acetylene torch to get these apart, a hacksaw, or if you have one handy, of course, a magician. Years ago, they would make figures from these rings. This figure, the garden swing. This, the ball. And my favorite figure, I call this one, a man holding a ball. For the ladies, may I present the very beautiful blooming rose. Okay, here's one for everybody. The blooming idiot. Thanks a lot. May I have just one of those, please? Thanks very much. You may like to see as this one entwines itself with its companions this way, leaving me with just one ring to go. Would you throw that ring to me, please? Just throw it unhanded on the count of 3. Thank you. Amazing how time flies when you're having fun. Now watch very carefully as all 6 join into a gigantic chain of steel. And yet with one simple maneuver, a broken slinky. They all end up in one.
It felt like he had more, but he just took the applause.
I don't think I've ever seen an audience go that crazy for the Chinese linking rings. Must be a magic convention.
Whoa, Steve. Was there a little jaded professional in there somewhere?
I'm just saying. It's just an observation like any other observation,
We make a lot of positive observations.
I hear what you're saying, though. Your magician audience definitely appreciates someone. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. They appreciate someone who can handle the rings in such a way as it gives away no possibility of how it's done.
Mm-hmm. That's a great routine.
That's not the way I performed it when I was young. I gave away exactly how it was done. I didn't do it right.
This one, I did the teaching act for a while. Pop Hayden's. For a while.
That's a great routine.
That's a great routine, and that really I don't know.
It's a killer routine. I would love to see that routine.
I mean, the rings
yeah,
are,
put it. You should bring it in, man.
Here's what my problem with the rings are, right? Okay. And it's not the rings' fault, all right? It's that every time, every sitcom, every movie, every freaking time the 7-year-old kid does a magic trick, they whip out the rings and make a joke of it. It's like that and the feather flowers, right? That's like screams like cheesy magician.
But I also have an indelible memory of a television show. I think it was Moonlighting. Like it was the Bruce Willis show with Sybil Shepherd. They were private investigators, and they're investigating something that happens like with a magician, right? And they go talk to the old magic guy that runs the magic store, and they go see the guy, right? And the guy does the linking rings in this thing, and he just does that first phase like Martin did, where it's just so smooth and clean, and it looks like magic. And that's my television memory of the linking rings, was that episode of that show, just seeing it and just going, whoa. I didn't know the linking rings was a good trick. I always thought it was cheesy because all of my other memories were what you just said, right? So them just making fun of it, that it's just a cheesy trick on and on down the line. But seeing like an old guy really do it the right way, I went, oh, wow, there's something to that thing. And I wasn't a magician at the time when I saw it. I just knew that it was something beautiful, and I had no idea how it was done.
Yeah. My first time was Bobby Brady, so that says a lot.
Oh, yeah. I probably had that too, but that one erased that. So
Yeah.
Who's Bobby Brady?
The Brady Bunch.
exactly.
Brady Bunch.
Oh, Marsha.
Yeah. Bobby.
Speaking of it, we look like the Brady Bunch right now.
Yeah, really. Bobby's going to do a magic act in the school show, so his dad drops $2,000 on magic.
Right, I remember that episode. It was the big button on the back of the box, right?
Yeah,
I
it's like
remember that.
$2,000 on magic.
$2,000, like in the 70s, it was like $20,000.
Hey,
Exactly.
man,
What happened?
he was
Dad's
an
an architect.
architect. He was an
He's an
architect.
architect.
He had the money.
You guys are like literally remembering a Brady Bunch plotline. Is that happening?
Yes.
Yeah. Dude, the Cosby Show
It was
did
the
it
magic
too.
one, dude.
Hey,
Come on.
whenever the writers run out of something to write about, they go, hey, I got an idea. Let's send them to the magic shop.
Linking rings.
Linking rings. They got them rings. Do those rings.
Dude, the Cosby Show had one where the little girl got into magic, and she did the most dope trick in the world, dude. She took a milk glass, she filled it with milk, turned it over, and turned it into a white handkerchief.
That's
And
right.
Dope.
I was blown away, dude. I was like, wait a minute. That wasn't making fun of magic. That just fooled me. So I had to
That
go out
was
and buy
magic.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes they did it right.
But to be fair, those were the Huxtables, man.
Yeah.
They
It
had
was a doctor.
The doctor. This is a doctor.
They could afford
But,
$2,000 worth of magic too.
Yeah.
I'm
just
sorry. So it's a function of, you're saying that these are situation comedies with a lot of cash to spend on the children's hobbies?
We're just saying that. That's how.
In those two situations, they were able to spend thousands of dollars on magic, so they got the good stuff.
Well, you guys, I don't remember the Good Times episode with magic, but you're saying it would have been different.
Yeah, the Good Times episode would have been different.
That was a little before my time.
Yeah.
I used to love
All
that.
I know is
I
that
know,
we're getting
right?
flamed in the comments because somebody was the magic consultant on all those episodes, and they're going to say something.
It was probably Mark Wilson.
It probably was. He's probably not on YouTube.
And he was doing stuff out of his own act.
True.
Well, we may be divided on this issue, but this next trick is called undivided.
And it will link us together.
What a segue.
Look at you.
And it will link us together.
How's that working
Since
out?
you've been here at the Magic Castle, I'm sure you've heard somebody say to make the statement, the hand is quicker than the eye. Well, if you really think about that for a few moments, you'll realize that that's not quite true. The hand, there's no way I can move my hand any faster than your eye can see. However, the hand can deceive the eye. And I'd like to present to you a little exercise in sleight of hand with a very small object, a packet of cigarette papers. And I asked the gentleman here if you wouldn't mind helping me. Would you take this, please, for me? Thank you. And open it and remove one paper for me. Oh, maybe the lady next to you, that'll be fine, yes.
Oh, it's a real California thing.
Take your time, we don't close till 2. Before you give me that paper, would you be kind enough to just blow on it, make sure there's only one, not two stuck together? There's only one piece there? Sometimes they get stuck together. Okay, thank you. I'll take that from you. You know, we're adults and we really don't believe in magic. But for the next minute, I would ask you to bear along with me, please, and just make believe.
You're muted, Adam.
I know, sorry. I was gonna try to turn that music down. All right, here we go.
It's a honky-tonk parade. Without your love, it's a melody played in a penny arcade. It's a P.T. Barnum and Bailey world. Just as phony as it can be, but it wouldn't be make-believe if you.
Well, that was
Great.
lovely.
Yeah,
What else is there to be said but beautiful, right?
that's it. That's it. Very clean, very beautiful. Well, it's beautiful enough that that's the method that David Copperfield used when he did that trick on television. And he did it surrounded by children. So that speaks to how awesome and effective that is. That guy doesn't pick junk, you know.
Children and cigarette papers. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh, he made a little confetti or a paper heart. It was a little red heart made out of tissue paper. So there was no cigarette paper involved, but you know, same effect. But it was very beautiful and very elegant with all the kids around him and all of them reacting and looking up at David while he's doing a thing. It was actually one of like the first things I ever saw on television that was like an actual magic special. And I didn't know who David Copperfield was. I just saw this thing and had to figure it out years later that I did see David Copperfield, and it was just that one little segment on TV, just that one trick. But it hung around in there for a long time. It's a good one.
Speaking of which, why don't we roll another number for the road?
Nice.
How's that for a segue?
I love it. Very strong.
We've got one more piece here, don't we?
Yeah, this next one actually this is like one of my favorite Martin Lewis tricks of all time. I think that this is just so cool. I love it.
It's got to be the one. No.
Talk about gambling with a regular deck of cards, which we're probably all more familiar with, and a couple of the different things that a crooked gambler might use to cheat in a game of cards. You may want to make some notes on this. Now, the first thing a good gambler might do is use a marked deck. Now, this is a marked deck. You couldn't tell by looking at it, but it actually is marked, and I'll show you the markings a little later on and how they work. But right now I need a card selected, and would you help me with that, please, as I riffle through the cards? Just simply call out stop at this particular point. Now, I want you to see, of course, that these are different cards, and not one of those decks that are all the same. And I'd like to have you take the card, show it around, let everybody see it. Don't let me see it, that's important. You got it? And then just drop it right back. Now, as I said, these cards are marked. They're marked by a new virtual light system that requires a special mechanics to be put inside a pair of spectacles. Now, the glasses that I have are rather experimental, and we've had to take quite a bit of work in concealing them, concealing the mechanisms, but I think we've done a pretty good job, at least I hope we have. What you do is you walk into your game and you sit down, and by looking at the cards, you can tell exactly which one is, because they're marked, you see, and I'll be able to tell just... Now, you know, this may look to you just like an ordinary deck of cards, but with these special glasses on, I can see your card, and I believe that was your card, the 4 of clubs. Am I right? Yeah. You know, a funny thing is, when you take the glasses off and put them away, you can't see the mark any longer. Isn't that weird?
It keeps going. This is actually what I'm after. This next one.
Now, that's the first part. Now, another thing with this marked deck that you can do is some special trick dealing. Once you know what that card is, then you've got to learn how to do trick dealing, and I'll show you some of that in just a moment. Right now, I need another card selected, and, well, maybe you'd help me out with this. You know the routine is I riffle through, you call out stop. Stop. And let everybody see that card. Okay. Now, I'll give this deck a bit of a shuffle. You won't forget it. I'll give this deck a little bit of a shuffle. Let me see. This will do it. And a cut. And a gambler at this particular point may be able to manipulate those cards and get a card that he wants to the top of the deck. Let's say the ace of spades. That's a good, easy card, and he would give the cards a cut. And then he would keep that ace for himself and deal the second card from beneath it. See, it looks like he's dealing the card, but he's actually keeping the ace on top. Now, with this is done face up, it looks quite a little bit bit different, a little easier for you to follow. You see, he looks like he's dealing the card, but actually, of course, he keeps it for himself. Now, this is all very well, but I figured you can take this a little step further. I mean, it's fairly easy to deal the second card from beneath a card, but what about dealing it from beneath a postage stamp? Maybe a little harder to do, but I've practiced very hard and I think I can do it. Now, if you watch this very carefully, you'll actually see the second card being dealt from beneath the postage stamp. I like to watch this myself. Seems to have got stuck on one card. Isn't that sort of funny? What card did you look at?
The 8 of Hearts.
Isn't that funny how it seems to have stuck on just that one card?
I love that trick. I think it's so cool and visual, man.
That is an outrageously good trick.
Never seen it. I've never seen that before.
I've never seen it.
It's
And
just
believe it or not, you don't have to do a great second deal. Sorry, Al.
yeah, you don't have to do a great second deal. It's just that visual aspect of that postage stamp. It's just so like, what is happening right now?
Great looking
I
trick.
love it.